Good morning. I'd like to call the Lyon County Board of County Commissioners meeting to order for Thursday, February 6th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Action will be taken on all items unless otherwise noted. No action will be taken on any item until it is properly agendized. To avoid meeting disruptions, please place cell phones and beepers in the silent mode and turn them off during the meeting. The board reserves the right to take items in a different order to accomplish business in the most efficient manner. Items may be combined for consideration, and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. Restrictions on comments by the general public. Any such restrictions must be reasonable and may restrict the time, place, and manner of the comments, but may not restrict comments based on viewpoint. Board of County Commissioners convening as other boards. Members of the Board of County Commissioners also serve as the Liquor Board, Central Lyon Vector Control District Board, Mason Valley Mosquito Abatement District Board, Walker River Weed Control District Board, Willow Creek General Improvement District Board, the Silver Springs General Improvement District Board, and during this meeting may convene as any of those boards as indicated on this or a separately posted agenda. This meeting may break between 11:30 and 1:30 for lunch. All commissioners are present and in chambers. Move on to the invocation given by Will Corley of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then we'll go on to the Pledge of Allegiance. So remain standing, given by Commissioner Hendricks. And before we get started, we lost a past commissioner recently. And I'd like to take a moment of silence. He was a commissioner here for 12 years, and he was also the mayor of Fernley for 6 years. He also was the high school coach and teacher. And I just want to take a moment of silence for him. Oh, Ray Goodman. Thank you.
Thank you. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we come before thee at the beginning of this board meeting. Give thanks for the day. We are indeed grateful for the opportunity that we have to live here in the United States of America, Lyon County, Nevada. We are indeed grateful for the prosperity that we are so blessed with. Father, we're grateful for the service that thou hast blessed these men and board members. We pray that thou will bless them to enlighten their minds as they conduct the affairs business on behalf of the constituents in their county. We ask that thou will also continue to bless us, that we will be able to keep an eye single to thy glory, that we might always be mindful to help those in need. We once again ask for mercy and compassion upon our fellow brothers and sisters in California that have suffered those devastating fires, and ask that thou would bless them, protect them, and help them to get over these natural disasters. Father, we love thee and we love thy Son, Jesus Christ, and it is in his name we pray, even Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public participation, no action will be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. It is anticipated that public participation participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion on each agenda item, but before the board takes any action. Any public comment? Sign in and state your name for the record.
My name is Susan Cristani. I live in Silver Springs, Nevada. My comments concern viewpoints of others at your last meeting regarding reading materials in the Lyon County libraries. The comments were questionable and implied that such materials should not be held in the library. I question what evidence supports these claims and how these individuals visited the library. I like to read all manners of literature. I've never come across any materials that I thought were questionable or shouldn't be in the library. My viewpoint is subjective, as well as any other individuals who visits the library. I visit the library often. I was also involved with Friends of the Library for a couple of years. The personnel and employees of the library should be commended for all their efforts into making the library a success. They offer reading materials, access to the internet, and movies. The materials are segmented into categories: romance, mystery, fiction, nonfiction, young adult, self-help, and children's section. Children are always accompanied by their parents and their guardians in picking out what books they want to take home. I know teenagers are more independent on what they need and what they read. If you are concerned about what they are reading, a parent's responsibility is to open a dialogue with their teenager and discuss it. The Lyon County Public Library is a public library. It is not a school library. It is not a religious library. It is available to all, but it is not a requirement that you join. It is up to the public what they want to read or not read. Adults can make up their own minds and are intelligent enough to do so. Library resources help us do that. To say otherwise implies that we can't make up our own minds and decisions. The material that is available should not be restricted or censored based on political, religious, or moral beliefs. What one individual might find offensive, another won't be offended at all. Everybody's viewpoint is subjective. The Lyon County Library is doing a great job. Let's keep it that way. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gwen Ernst Ulrich and I'm from Wellington. I'm here to speak about selecting a library trustee who will protect our children and teens from harmful material in our county libraries. In Romans 13, 3-4, God tells us of one role of government is to protect its citizens from those who do evil. Since God's laws are written upon our hearts, this concept should be common sense for all rational people. One purpose of God's laws is to protect people from things that would cause harm. Satan tries to destroy people by making harmful things seem enticing. Our nation is moving toward a culture of sin and death. This needs to change, and it starts with our children. As we invite children and teens into our county libraries, our first obligation is to do no harm. At best, library materials should inspire children and teens to lead good and productive lives. Children and teen books with a sex topic sell the ancient lie that sex is like food and should be satisfied with anyone by any means as often as possible. This harmful message endangers our nation's future families. Numerous sex topic books exist in the children and teen section of our county libraries or the library catalog, and I've seen them. My husband and I have submitted 6 requests for reconsideration forms to remove explicit sex topic books from the children and teen section of the library, and could find many more to also submit. Our new library trustee should be a person who is interested in the well-being of our children and teens and seeks to oversee our county libraries using moral principles. Thank you, and thank you for your service to our county.
Thank you. If this is about an agenda item, I'd prefer that you waited till the agenda item.
Well,
This is public comment for items not on the agenda.
it's not about that agenda item. Good morning, Leslie Sonnet from Wellington. I attended the Library Board of Trustees meeting on January 28th and was shocked to find items in the agenda packet that clearly show the current chair, Deanne Davis, as being one of the ringleaders of the ongoing attack on her fellow board members that we've been witnessing during public comments at recent meetings of this board. I'm providing a copy of the emails attributed to the chair from that agenda packet for inclusion with my comments. While there were many concerning statements from the chair, such as asking people to put pressure on the county commissioners and for people to express disappointment that 3 trustees voted not to adopt policy revisions, I believe submitted by the chair, the most concerning section to me included the following, and I quote, "I think the best strategy going forward looks like this. 1, get a majority on the board, perhaps pressure some of them to resign or ask the commissioners to recall them. 2, revise the policies once we have a majority. 3, once the policies are in place, remove or challenge the books. Challenging the books while current policy is in place would probably be fruitless." I question who the "we" is that the chair refers to in reference to the majority. The chair also asked her followers to, quote, "demand their resignation," unquote, if the 3 trustees do not change their vote on the collection, development, and material selection policy recommended by the professional library staff. Thankfully, the 3 trustees who were victims of the orchestrated attack have voted to support their staff and approve the staff recommended policy. The personal attacks were egregious, as all these ladies did was to support their staff and be good stewards for the county by adopting a policy that was sound from a risk management aspect per our county manager. When I learned of the chair's emails, I suggested that she recuse herself from the vote for obvious conflicts of interest, but she did not. I submit to you that if anyone on the library board needs to be removed, it's the chair, actively working to overthrow and undermine her fellow board members and staff, hence creating an incredibly toxic and hostile work environment, cannot be ignored. As an appointed public servant, the apparent ethics violations and obvious conflict of interest cannot be ignored. While I know you have limited ability to remove a member of the library board, maybe that should change at the state level, I request you agendize this item and direct the county manager to file an official ethics complaint against the chair with the State of Nevada Commission on Ethics before any further harm comes to other board or staff members. Volunteer trustees and all staff members deserve to work in a safe and respectful environment free from bullying. Thank you.
Any more public comment? There's going to be any more public comment, please get in line and so we can move it on as fast as possible. And if anybody's online, raise your hand so we know that you're wanting to talk.
Hello, my name is Justus Bauschner. I'm a passionate reader of books. I've resided and have run 3 companies until my recent retirement here in Yarrington since 1991. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today in support of Lyon County Library Director Wynn Pringle, the trustees of the library board, and Suzanne Prouty, who's candidacy to become the 5th member of the board is before you today. I was born during World War II in a bomb shelter near Peenemünde on the Baltic coast of Germany. My father was there with a group of rocket scientists developing the V1, V2 rockets, etc. Shortly after the war, we came over to the USA on Project Paperclip. I tell you briefly of my history to remind you that with the rise of Hitler and Nazism, mind control was practiced. Books were banned, ultimately burned in huge public conflagrations. You could be imprisoned in wars if caught with quote subversive books such as masterpieces by Heinrich Heine, whose lyric poetry was set to music in form of Lieder by composers like Schumann and Schubert, German treasures. Why you, may I ask? Heine was subversive for being born a Jew, although just a few years prior he was and is still today a German national treasure. In my parents' library, which was extensive, there were first editions of Heine leather-bound, among other subversive German and other authors. My father buried these books to hide them from the Nazi book burners. That's what that literature meant to him. I have read many of these books and treasure them, and I'm grateful to my father's bravery and foresight to hide them from the Nazis. I know few people who read as much or as widely as I do. My thirst for an immensely wide range of topics is endless. I am therefore deeply offended at any attempt to ban books. If a book offends you, don't read it. America is a free country. There is no room in that freedom to ban books. All this said, I would urge you to confirm the appointment of Suzanne Prouty as fifth trustee of the Lyon County Board of Trustees. Thank you.
Yeah, if it's gonna be an agenda item. If it's gonna be an agenda item, please wait till the agenda item. I'm not gonna have you speak again at that agenda item.
I'll be brief. I just wanted to come and publicly voice my support of confirming Suzanne Prouty to the library board. I reviewed all of the applications. This probably is an unusual move for somebody who was passed over for nomination, but I wholeheartedly support her. She's more than qualified. She lives in Fernley, which is the district that is unrepresented currently. I can't see any reason why she wouldn't be a wonderful member of the library board. I've met with her personally. I find her to be kind and knowledgeable. She's knowledgeable and not just library things, but civic things. She would be a wonderful addition to the library board. Thank you.
Again, that's an agenda item and we will be hearing it later on. Anybody on my screen? Okay, we're gonna end public comment. Brings us to the possible action, review and adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I do need to remove 6A and 6B.
Chairman Keller, I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda of removing 6A and 6B.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jacobson, seconded by Commissioner Casanelli. Those in public comment? Seeing none, go to the vote. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to 7A, time certain, 9:00 a.m. For presentation only, update from the Nevada Department of Transportation on the US 15th Dayton Preservation Project given by NDOT Project Manager Eric Sheets and Design Consultant Keith Karpstein. And please excuse me if I butchered anybody's name.
That's all right. You got it. First off, thank you for having me here. Thank you, commissioners. Good morning. I've got good news to bring you. As you did note, I'm representing Nevada Department of Transportation. I'm the senior project manager and I'm managing this project. Last time we presented to you, I noted that we would come back to you, give you an update after we did the 60% design and when we did the public comment period. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now, just following through, making sure that we keep everybody informed, and so far so good. Everything's on track and we're doing well. So I'll move forward here. Give me a second. There we go. Here's our schedule. As you can see, we basically just finished the 60% design and environmental review. We are wrapping up some of the items that we need to do in order to get into the right-of-way acquisition. There's a couple parcels we need to deal with. As you know, that can be, a long process, but it has to be done properly. So we're in that, which would allow us to basically finish up final design next summer, this summer, and then get into construction budget depending on 2026. So everything's looking good there. and I expect us to just keep moving forward. Moving forward here on the slides. We had assistance basically creating a website and allowing people to see the plan sets, the roll plots, making sure that everybody had access to the information. And this was an example of the website. You can see the address there. We also, actually, I'm gonna move forward here. It's just a couple other examples of pages on there. It has the schedule, it has, you know, the links again, information about the project and other information that can be obtained. So this was a postcard that was mailed out to everybody. You're actually only required to do a smaller sample for mailer. We did a much larger sample. We wanted to make sure everybody possible could be informed, not possible, but much more broad than it needed to be. So anyway, with that, we've gotten some great comments. I'm addressing those comments now. For the most part, I'll sum it up. The comments have been, let's get this project going. We need it happening. We need the preservation project to fix up the pavement. And there was quite a few people interested in the safety aspects associated with the two signals. Again, those are budgeted. This was another part of the question. Those are budgeted by NDOT and incorporated into the project. So anyway, the big items for this project, of course, are pavement preservation. There will be 2 new signalized intersections at Cardelli and 6 Mile. We're going to basically install some high Ts that allow directed access to businesses and residential areas. And the speed limit, as was kind of the middle point to still allow safety, is going from 60 to 55. These are kind of cross sections. Sorry, I flipped a little fast there, but anyway, again, I think the idea of having turn lanes and acceleration lanes are going to assist in the safety output. So with that being said, if anybody has any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Again, it's good news. Everything's moving forward as it should. And I look forward to seeing this project get to construction in 2026.
Thank you. This is for presentation only. Does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chair, I have one question. Thank you for presenting this morning, and I see the proposed signal lights, Fort Churchill, 6 Mile, and Riverboat. Is there any signal proposed yet at the Traditions Parkway?
Good question. So that is actually part of a private development, and from what I understand, yes, it is, but that is not part of this.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll move on to 7B, time certain, 9501, for possible action to revoke 2 business licenses that are delinquent and or non-compliant with county code and allow the business license department to close the accounts listed below. Del Sol NRG of Nevada, Inc. and Northern Nevada Enterprises, Inc.
Good morning, Commissioners. Deputy Clerk Nicole Wagner for the record. So luckily this list for you is not extensive as the last one, thank goodness. These are being brought before you because we had an issue with the business license program. There were some business licenses that weren't included with the renewal noticing. So we were able to work with the programmer, get that that kink worked out, and we were able to get in contact with those businesses who weren't notified properly. We did do all the proper noticing that follows county code, and these were the 2 businesses that unfortunately did not bring their account to current.
Any comment from the board? Questions? Any comment or questions from the public? Public comment? Seeing none, bring it back to the board for a motion.
I make a motion to revoke the 2 business licenses that are delinquent and or non-compliant with county code and allow the business license department to close the accounts listed below. Del Sol Energy of Nevada, Inc. and Northern Nevada Enterprises Incorporated.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hockaday, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Brings us to 7C, time certain at 9:10 a.m. Public hearing on nuisance complaint and for possible action to declare the property located at 85 Hart Street, Dayton, Nevada, a public nuisance pursuant to Lyon County Code Title 6, Chapter 1, and to direct Community Development Department staff to take appropriate enforcement and or abatement actions as necessary, which may include county-led abatement at the property owner's expense in accordance with Lyon County Code and applicable laws and regulations. You know, who's presenting this?
Morning. Yeah, just the first part. Morning, Commissioners, Steve Rye, Lyon County District Attorney. That come before you today on a nuisance complaint. It's been quite a number of years since the board's heard one of these, so we just wanted to walk through the procedure, outline the hearing. And then I'll turn it over to code enforcement and the sheriff's office for a brief presentation regarding nuisance. Just kind of an overview of the hearing. This is much like a planning application. Well, you're hear the evidence from code enforcement. Then if the occupant or property owners here, they would present their side of the case. You would hear any public comments and then make a decision based on that information. The options you have in this case, you can declare the nuisance and order the cleanup. You can continue the hearing, or you can find that no nuisance exists. Notice of this hearing will be reflected in the record. On the next page, it just briefly summarized that. It has been published in the newspaper for 2 weeks if required by the county code. And it served a return receipt on the property owner, also personally served on the property owner or occupant and posted on the property. Just a quick review of the applicable law in this case. The board is familiar a little bit with the county code, but the NRS defines a nuisance as injurious to health, indecent, and offensive to the senses, or an obstruction of free use of property. And the nuisances also include, in this case, in Title 6 of the county code on the next page. You'll see some definitions there, which are rather detailed, but basically accumulation of refuse and weeds, garbage, all that kind of thing constitutes a nuisance under the county code. And any building or structure which is unfit for use or habitation constitutes a nuisance under the county code. The process would be that you, if you decided there was a nuisance, that you would enter a resolution. We provided one to you this morning for your consideration, and we can discuss that at the end of the hearing if that's the direction you want to go. But generally, the process is fairly simple. Any questions on that before I turn it over to Joseph Sanchez, the code enforcement officer?
Any questions? Actually,
Mr. Rye. I guess I had a question. I don't know that everything presented to us has to deal with what you presented there. I know that we were given some late backup, and I don't know that animal cruelty and some of these charges that were brought up are part of this, but because it's part of our packet, are we allowed to comment on that as well on this? I doubt the animal cruelty part is part of the reason why we're doing these actions, or possibly doing these actions today. We'll be able to.
Yeah, I understand your question with the late backup. 2 quick comments on that. The late backup, the substance of that memo is included with the agenda as well. And so it is, the memo's late, but the board and the public have already had access to that information. The reason that's included is it's part of your overall determination of the nuisance, not specifically the violations necessarily, but it goes to the sheriff's office involvement and their continued activity with that property for you to determine whether or not this constitutes a nuisance.
So is that something we can ask questions to the sheriff's department about?
Yes, how much detail they get into specifically will depend, but I'm sure you can get some general answers related to those issues.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chairman Keller.
Morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Joseph Sanchez. I serve as the code enforcement officer for Lyon County. Before I begin, I want to mention, if there are any questions at any point during this presentation, please feel free to stop me and ask. My name is Joseph Sanchez. I'm addressing the board today in my capacity as a code enforcement officer for Lyon County regarding the ongoing violation at the property located at 85 Park Street in Dayton, Nevada. This property has been a persistent source of public nuisance and environmental concern, necessitating immediate action by the board. Since 2018, the Lyon County Sheriff's Office and Code Enforcement have received numerous complaints regarding significant accumulation of trash, abandoned vehicles, and human and animal waste on the premises. The conditions at this property have led to persistent offensive odors, health hazards, and an overall decline in the quality of life for neighboring residents. Despite numerous attempts by law enforcement and code enforcement to engage the property occupants, John Muldoon and Tara Weed, no sustained efforts have been made to rectify the situation. Both individuals have been cited and arrested multiple times for violations related to property maintenance. Currently, Mrs. Weed is awaiting trial on charges that include animal cruelty and failure to comply with previous orders to remediate the property. The following timeline highlights the continued violations at this property. January 2021, verified accumulation of trash and debris, including 3 inoperable vehicles filled with waste, obstructing the public right-of-way. April 2022, large amounts of junk material, including scrap metal and abandoned bicycles, creating fire and safety hazards. December of 2023, neighbor complaints regarding a broken fence obstructed by excessive trash, delaying necessary repairs. February of 2024, property identified as lacking running water and sewer services since June of 2022 and accumulation of trash. Despite multiple notices of violation, certified mailings and personal visits, compliance efforts have not yet yielded the necessary result. As a result, code enforcement has determined that the property meets the criteria for a public nuisance as defined in Title VI, Chapter 1 of the Lyon County Code. The ongoing conditions at 85 Hart Street pose significant public health and safety risks, including accumulation of hazardous material and refuse, presence of junk vehicles and flammable debris, increasing fire risk, lack of essential sanitation services, creating potential health hazards. The included field photographs provide clear documentation of the conditions present at 85 Hart Street, illustrating the extent of the accumulated garbage, refuse, and debris. These images highlight the public health and safety concerns associated with the property, including obstruction to public access, expansion of waste beyond property boundaries, and hazards to both residents and first responders. The visual evidence underscores the urgent need for intervention and supports the recommendation for county-led abatement efforts. Given the extensive history of noncompliance and the failure of prior enforcement actions to bring the property into compliance, I strongly recommend that the board declare 85 Park Street a public nuisance and approve county-led abatement efforts. Grant funds have been identified to facilitate the cleanup, ensuring minimal financial impact to the county while holding the responsible parties accountable. I appreciate the board's time and consideration in this matter, and I urge you to take decisive action to protect public health and safety and restore the integrity of our community.
Any questions from the board?
No question. One comment, I'm really happy that we have a code enforcement officer again. I've received so many complaints about this property in the last 2 years. I'm really glad something's being done.
I have some of it. I'm gonna wait till the sheriff's done and then that might answer some of my questions, Chairman Keller.
Sheriff?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ryan Powell. I'm the commander with the Sheriff's Office, and I'm here representing on behalf of Sheriff Pope. He's not available this morning. So I just want to briefly say that we support the District Attorney's Office and code enforcement on this issue. This has been a long time coming. This has been a problem in Dayton for a long time, as you stated. And we have, I believe, 17 instances since 2017 that we've investigated in relation to the property, not necessarily the people, but in relation to that property there, but dating back to June of 2017. So it's certainly been a nuisance property for us, and we support this action being taken. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Commissioner Jacobson?
Thank you, Chairman Keller. Thank you, sir. And this, I don't know who these questions necessarily go to, but I do believe that this will be either the sheriff or the DA. So, are these folks referred to mental health by, do they have any obligations, or do we have any ground to stand on to have them referred to mental health?
Yeah, that's a good question. So,
Second, can we talk about, or are we talking about property?
That's Steve Wright, DA. Yeah, we want to focus more on the property. Generally, I think Commander Powell can talk about any services that were referred or anything, but generally focus on the property. That makes sense.
Yeah, okay. I guess I might be a stretch, but I think you could, judging by the pictures and the police report, you could probably tie that to the, so that's fine. So on this, some of this late backup, I see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 areas that were dismissed. If something was dismissed, does that still count as a first offense?
yes, question for the District Attorney's Office.
Steve Wright, District Attorney. No, it would not count as a first offense.
Well, I struggle with that. But
yeah, and I just to talk briefly about that process and some of the issues that Commissioner Jacobson's raising. This property went through the normal process, but even more outreach from the county in the sense that code enforcement tried to work with the occupants for a number of years. Was taken to court. The sheriff's office was involved with citations and other issues, as you can see in the memo. And this property was taken to court. It went through the court system. In that process, the court deals with the individuals that are involved with the property. Services are referred, other action is taken. And that has happened on several occasions with those individuals. And so and that's why at this point it comes before the board. The board's familiar with these complaints and oftentimes they're difficult to resolve. And we try the court process on occasion. And then if that doesn't work, we come here. And that's what happened in this particular case. So I just wanted to emphasize that the occupants have been given lots of resources and opportunities from the county, whether it be code enforcement, community development, the courts, the sheriff's office. It's not like, you know, they were instantly in trouble or anything like that. There was a significant effort by staff to work with those occupants.
And then I guess, Chairman Keller, how much time, just curiosity, how much time has the county invested in this, whether it's the sheriff's department, DA? Gee, I mean, this has got to be unbelievable.
Joseph Sanchez, code enforcement. So going back to 2018, 5 separate cases have been submitted with code enforcement addressing this property. My predecessors before me have invested significant time, not only in formal correspondence, but on-site visits. And that's just code enforcement, not even, you know, speaking to the fire department, which I know has, you know, communicated to me that they have invested significant time and concerns to this property, in addition to sheriff's office as well.
Thank you for that. Go ahead. If there's something, these 5 individuals, including myself, obviously I'm pointing more fingers at me than my colleagues here, but I think we need to look at some way to speed this up so that we can help you out, because if this is going back to 2017, it looks like we've got to, I mean, it's 2025.
If I may, just real briefly, my approach to this position differs slightly from my predecessors. I am approaching it in a much more aggressive manner. However, there is a lot of community education and outreach included in my efforts. So this isn't, you know, a hard line drawn in the sand. I am making a lot of effort to work with individuals, but my efforts are much more aggressive than what we've seen.
And I have nothing, no ill about any code enforcement we've had. I think they've done a great job as well, but I just think as a board, we need to maybe look at something that we can do to either put more teeth into something or speed up the process, or I don't know for sure what it is, but if I was sitting out in the audience today, I would be seeing those pictures, hearing the timelines. I mean, I'm sitting here shaking my head. I've been on here for starting my fifth year, and I'm embarrassed that it's taken this long.
Steve Wright, District Attorney. In response to that, we have had discussions, and these difficult code enforcement cases are tough to deal with. This case went to court several times, and you can see, unfortunately, that process did not work. It also went through code enforcement several times, and for the neighbors, that was also did not work. It's had the sheriff's involvement several times, and that didn't work either. In response to that, the county is going to propose an ordinance, and Andrew can address, county manager can address this in the near future, which is going to provide an alternative process, which will definitely expedite some of these more serious code violations.
Music to my ears. Thank you, sir.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. So as the district attorney mentioned, the current process that we have, it's tricky and it takes a lot of time. And so we have been working on an ordinance. I know we had a workshop last year, I think, early last year, to discuss this, and staff's been working on drafting it. It's kind of complicated because there's a lot of research that has to go into it, and that's why it's taking so long. But we will be bringing something forward, hopefully, in the near future to get this addressed.
And I get property rights, I get that, but at the same time, there's still responsibility. It looks like there's a neighbor right next to, I mean,
yeah,
he definitely have some rights too. So thank you for all that. That's all I have, Chairman Keller, at this time. Any more questions?
I have a question about the grant. It was stated that the grant funding would pay for this or help pay for it. So as we're going through this process, is there anything going to the actual people at the property? Or is this just how we have to go about getting the grant?
Joseph Sanchez, code enforcement. The grant is funded through Central Lyon Fire. They are kind of holding the details and the management of the cleanup process. There should be no impact on the county. If we move on this quickly, there is a hard deadline I will mention of March 10th for their grant. So the intention is to hopefully pull the trigger and get this done very quickly.
I guess where my question was going is, are the people that own the property going to be impacted? And what I don't want to see is both I don't want a big impact if people are necessarily have an issue that is unforeseen that we need to help them clean up, but we don't want to make this routine to where people pile up their garbage till the county comes in and cleans it up on a grant. So that's what my question was.
Understood. So there is no benefit going to the homeowners, or I should say the tenants, in terms of financial support beyond going onto their property and removing the trash and debris. In terms of kind of setting a standard, I will take that upon myself as part of my outreach and communication with individuals that I approach, that this is not something the county is going to stand for in terms of allowing this type of an accumulation to the point where we're stepping in and taking care of for them. Does that answer your question, sir?
Commissioner Hendricks.
What do you do to address the lack of sanitation and water?
At this time, if I deem that a situation requires outside of assistance, I am referring these individuals to human services, most of the time through the MOST team, and bringing in additional resources to help those individuals. There is a lot of communication involved in trying to establish what their needs are. We are putting the individuals first in these cases and making sure that they have what they need, just in basic necessities. But that is in large partnership with human services.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Tim. Just for curiosity, I'm guessing if the outside resembles the inside, is there a possibility that whole trailer will be removed? Have we been inside the residence, search warrant or whatever?
I have been inside the trailer. The conditions do reflect what you see outside. I will let Director Henderson speak to that one.
So Gavin Henderson, Community Development Director. So obviously our first goal is to clean up the exterior, and then we can move forward, with those formalized procedures to look at the inside of the building, assess the water and sewer issues, and take a further dive into getting that property to more of a compliance, not just with the nuisance, but with obviously water and sanitation. That's going to be a process working hand in hand with the PA's office. Obviously, like that's going to constitute warrants and the ability to access the property far and beyond what the cleanup is actually doing. But we are definitely looking at that and moving in that direction as well.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to go to the public. Is there any public testimony or questions? Seeing if someone's going to make a motion.
Just one thing, Mr. Chair, I don't know if the occupant was supposed to be here this morning. I don't think he's here. And I don't know if anybody's on Zoom as far as involved with the property. The neighbors were made aware of this hearing. I don't believe any were going to be present this morning.
So someone's going to entertain a motion here. It has to be done through the county code through resolution. So if someone's going to do that, I'd like for the county attorney or Mr. Rye to read in the resolution.
So we provided this morning a proposed resolution if the board's inclined to declare a nuisance. And so we would ask that your motion just include adoption of that resolution, if that's the motion we intend to make. It will be part of the record, filed in with the clerk's office.
We have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I motion to declare the property located at 85 Hart Street, Dayton, Nevada, a public nuisance pursuant to Lyon County Code Title 6, Chapter 1, and to direct the Community Development Department staff to take appropriate enforcement and/or abatement actions as necessary, which may include county-led abatement at the property owner's expense in accordance with Lyon County Code and applicable laws and regulations, APN 006-033-02, and the resolution and order finding that the activities at 85 Hart Street, Dayton, Lyon County, Nevada constitute a nuisance, and ordering the landowner to abate the nuisance. Whereas Lyon County Code Title 6, Chapter 1 addresses the procedures to address nuisances, complaints, and whereas a complaint was received, a hearing was set for February 6, 2025. All notices required by ordinance and statutes were given as required by law. And whereas the complaint was heard on February 6, 2025, and the board received evidence to establish the facts set forth in the complaint. And whereas based upon the testimony received by the board, a nuisance exists at 85 Hart Street, Dayton, Nevada. Now therefore be it resolved and ordered that the board hereby finds that the activities occurring on 85 Hart Street, Dayton, Lyon County, Nevada constitute a nuisance as defined in Lyon County Code and Nevada revised statutes. Be it further resolved and ordered that the property owners or residents, John Mildew and or Tara Weed, shall abate the nuisance. Be it further resolved and ordered that the property owners shall have 10 days from the date of this order up to and including February 16th, 2025, to abate the nuisance or report to Joseph Sanchez, Lyon County Code Enforcement Officer, the progress on the abatement. Such report shall not result in an extension of time or limit the county's ability to move forward with other remedies or enforcement of this order. Be it further resolved and ordered that failure to abide by the approved abatement or failure to comply with the terms of this resolution and order by the owner may cause the county to undertake further enforcement measures, including but not limited to Lyon County completing or contracting the work necessary to abate the nuisance. Being further resolved and ordered that in the event that the county completes or contracts the work necessary to abate the nuisance, then the cost of abating the nuisance shall be assessed against the property as permitted by Lyon County Code 6.01.09.b to constitute a lien on the property to be collected in the same manner as property taxes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I think I had a couple of them. Which one? I'll go. Commissioner Casanelli made the motion. Commissioner Huckabee seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against? No. None. Passes unanimously.
Chairman Keller, I just want to thank the sheriff's office, Mr. Sanchez, Henderson, and all the other county staff for their diligence afforded this property. So thank you.
Going for about 5-minute break. It's 9:53. Can we get everybody to take their seats, please?
10 o'clock.
Okay, we're on number 8. Commissioners and county managers reports. I don't know what side I started last time, but I'll start with Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate how you opened the meeting, Chairman Keller. Condolences to the Leroy Goodman family. Mayor Goodman, County Commissioner Goodman, Coach Goodman, Nevada Cement Goodman, longtime friendly resident Goodman, and a near and dear friend of my father-in-law, to be honest with you. He will be missed. He was headstrong, a very determined gentleman throughout his life. So just my condolences to his family for sure. Met with reps from Aruba Power, and then came down and toured this proposed or the site, I guess, of the 5,000 acre solar plant going in. And then I toured that with some concerned citizens. And so that's, I believe, coming next week. Some information on that. Once again, I don't know that I just feel like the cart was ahead of the horse on some of that decision making and leaving our county commission out of the loop on a lot of that. And that's no fault of anyone. That just, I guess, the process for which BLM does some of that stuff with these corporations, companies. Met with some concerned citizens about the Justice Court in Fernley. Not that it's being expanded, but just, I guess, making sure that some of the tradition is upheld. I believe I see it's fenced off and they're getting ready to start working. I just want to encourage, there may be a time capsule buried by the Masons, by the flagpole. If we can somehow salvage that. If in fact there is one there, I wasn't there when they buried it, but we can somehow preserve that time capsule and maybe relocate it, because it looks like that flagpole is going to be coming out. And then some of the naming on the building and whatnot. So I can get with county staff on that if they have further questions, for sure. Chairman of the board for the Boys and Girls Club of Fernley there had a meeting getting ready for big fundraiser coming up in April. So we're busy there. And finally, I just want to wish all our winter sports, the kids active in regional playoffs, I know state wrestling is this weekend in Fallon, and I just want to wish all those kids good luck and good competition for those kids that have made those commitments to better themselves and show the school spirit. So, and then finally, I don't know how well known it is, but there's a group at Fernley High School. It's called VITA, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And that's where students at the high school help senior citizens and I believe kids that have jobs get their income tax done for free. And if you're interested in that, some of that, I can help get connections to make sure that you can help get your income tax done at a very good rate. And that is all I have there.
Thank you, Commissioner Hendricks.
I attended the Lyon County School Board meeting and the Northern Nevada Development Authority State of the County event, and our county manager gave a good presentation there. Attended the NACO Public Lands and Natural Resources Board, the NACO Board of Directors meeting, the Quad County Legislative Committee, the Comstock Historical District Commission, and the Carson Water Subconservancy District Legislative Board, and the Dayton Advisory Board. And probably like the rest of you, the main focus of all those boards right now is tracking bills in the legislature that are going to affect each one of those organizations.
Commissioner Casanelli.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief because I said a mouthful already this morning. But I kept kind of a low profile here recently. I had a heck of a head cold, so but anyway, I did attend an event, a class sponsored by NACO. Got a lot of useful information out of that. I attended the Boys and Girls Club of Mason Valley Youth of the Year event, and at that time I stepped down as the chair. Well, I had stepped out as the chair last month, but anyway, they recognized me, which was nice. I hadn't been expecting that, but great event, and congrats to the students that competed in that. I attended the Mound House Advisory Board and the Dayton Advisory Board meetings, and looked at the project that was before Dayton, and that's about it.
Thank you, Commissioner Arcaday.
Well, I attended some of those solar plant discussions, since some of the things going on will be definitely impacting District 5. Also attended Mason Valley Conservation District and Smith Valley Conservation District meetings. Pretty much took up most of the day. They're due to discussion of job descriptions for those districts, and also some personnel issues. We have a new manager for the conservation districts, and she's doing a good job so far, so we're happy with that. Also attended the Boys and Girls Club for the 2025 Youth of the Year event dinner. Was an excellent event. Just my congratulations to Commissioner Casanelli on his President Emeritus Award. Interesting there is that I had read it in the program, and as soon as he walked into the dinner, I walked up and said, "Congratulations," and he said, "For what?" So I kind of felt bad, because at that point I spilled the beans before he read the program. Sorry about that. Surprise was not a surprise. I had a couple of meetings with County Manager Haskin and Lyon County staff concerning some of the issues going on in my district here. And attended the Financial Leadership for Elected Officials Zoom meeting. Also the Smith Valley Park Board meeting. And just a shout out to the Student Interact Club of Smith Valley. They are volunteering their services to clean and paint the dugouts for the baseball fields over at Dressler Park. And they're just requesting supplies. So their labor will be free, and all we got to do is supply the paint. It's fantastic. And of course, last night had the Smith Valley Citizen Advisory Board meeting, and went quite well with that.
Thank you. I attended the Lyon County School Board. I attended the Lyon County Library Board. I attended the NNBA State of the Counties, and that was extremely well attended. And it kind of highlighted the difference in the budgets in our region between the counties, and the need for the industrial and commercial development that we need. It's critical for Lyon County. I attended the Nevada Builders Association annual dinner. Again, that was another extremely well-attended event, and it gave me a chance to talk to some of the developers and talk about some of the issues and needs to bring more of that development into Lyon County. I attended the NACO, National NACO Rural Action Caucus, Nevada NACO Association of Counties General Board meeting, Nevada NACO Association of Counties Public Lands and Natural Resources Committee, Nevada NACO Association of Counties Legislative Committee, the Quad County Legislative Committee, and opening of the legislative session as a guest of Assemblywoman Lisa Cole. And while attending all those various committees and everything, we discussed several of the national and state legislative policies and policies that each one of them are concerned with. We're following a lot of stuff. It's just the beginning, and it's going to get pretty busy this time of the year. And while doing all that, I have missed out on some of the other events, and I want to apologize to any organizations that I wasn't able to attend. I can't wait till this legislative session is over so that I can get back into the public and enjoy some of those events. County Manager.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. So 2025 has gotten off to a busy start for me. I've been in a ton of meetings, and it's been very hectic, but just a few things I wanted to highlight for the board today. One, I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago now with the sheriff's office, with the fleet department, roads, and myself and the comptroller to discuss vehicles for the sheriff's department. We're working on that to figure out what the needs are for replacements and new vehicles now that the sheriff is up, is staffed up, and so we're working through that. I'll have some more information for the board as we kind of finish that analysis and come back with a proposal on that. So I did want to give the board a heads up. I had a meeting with Congressman Amadei's office and a group that was that is interested in potentially acquiring the old drive-in over here and doing something with that. I wanted to give the board a heads up in case you had heard some rumors about that. But we had a meeting. I don't know where that's going to go, but there's a bunch of different options being explored there. So as has been mentioned numerous times this morning, the legislature is back in session. That is taking up a lot of time. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm already kind of tired of reading new legislation, but we're just at the beginning, and that's gonna continue. So we'll be working on that pretty heavily, and I know there's a lot of meetings and a lot of discussion there regarding that. And then finally, I wanted to touch on something, a project that we're working on with Campo, which is a feasibility study project for the second bridge in Dayton. What's kind of the first step? Originally we had talked about completing a full design for that second bridge, but really there's kind of a step that has to happen before that to knock out a bunch of the federal requirements for that. And so we're working with them on that. I hope to bring an agreement forward back before the board. I don't have a timeline just yet because we've got to get some things approved with NDOT and with Campo and everything, but we are making progress on that, and that feasibility study will knock out a ton of the early requirements for federal funding for that bridge, such as some of the preliminary environmental work, some of the preliminary geotech work, cost benefit analysis, cost analysis, all that stuff, and a number of other things. So that project is moving forward. There will be a cost to the county as a part of that, but there's a $1.3 million in funding, I think, and I think our match is around 68%. So I will be coming back with a proposal on how we pay for that as well. But I think that furthers that project along. I know that's something that's been out there for a long time, so it's a priority for myself. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I have one question. There's a lot of committees that we sit on, and you send out notification to those committees who sits on which ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I was looking to get a SLUPAC. I was looking to get a notification from them, and I was in a meeting, and they haven't met for over a year because they don't have a director. So we haven't had nothing's happened in SLUPAC, and I don't know if any of the other committees are doing that same thing. So can you double check on see if there's any problems with any of the committees that we should be sitting on?
Sure, we can reach out and get an update for the board.
Thank you. Good.
All right, thank you.
Brings us to number 9, elected officials reports. Do we have any elected officials reports?
Commissioners, Commander Ryan Powell for the record. Sheriff Pope is not able to be here today. He's at the Sheriffs and Chiefs Association meeting in Douglas County, and the governor's actually there. And so they're going over legislation and all kinds of exciting stuff. So he asked me to present on his behalf. It's been busy for us at the Sheriff's Office. We are just about fully staffed. We're going to hire, I think, our last position later this month. And so it's been trying on the county. It's been trying on cars, but we are finally there. And so we feel good. We've got a good plan in place, and staffing levels been helping us out on the street and calls for service. So that's been very good. The sheriff's attitude is default aggressive. And so we're going out, we're being as aggressive as we can. And that's one of those areas is hiring. Another area is criminal apprehension. And I'm sure you guys have seen in press releases this last week, it's been pretty busy. So we were busy specifically down here in Arrington. But all kinds of stuff. The sheriff wanted me to talk about some of those issues, specifically 20 Palomino. We had a drug arrest there that resulted in a pound of methamphetamine being recovered, a stolen gun, and 4 arrests. So I did some numbers. We've been to that residence 135 times since 2011. So we've been very proactive in that, and we're continuing to go and be aggressive there. So he wanted me to mention that the standoff situation we had in Yerington was solved peacefully. Our goal is to be able to resolve these incidents peacefully, and that was certainly good for us. So we did a press release on that and took a bad guy off the streets and made our community safer there. We also had a homicide arrest that took place in Smith Valley the night of the Youth of the Year dinner. We were in attendance of that, and myself and Sergeant Galvin had to leave to go we did have a deputy injured as a result of that. He's okay. He's doing great. He's out of the hospital. In fact, he's back to work. And again, a great example of professionalism and hard work, aggressive work from our deputies, and got another bad guy off the street. So we're pretty excited about that, especially being able to help our partners in Washoe County with with their investigation. Our detectives are actively working with them, and that inmate has ultimately been transferred over to them to answer those charges there. So we're very busy with planning. It's the beginning of the year, so we're planning all of our special events. We have lots of stuff going on. We're working with Taylor Allison Boys and Girls Club and the city of Yerington to put on Night in the Country, and so we're already planning for that. Already getting some stuff rolling there, and real excited about what we can do. We're looking at planning special events throughout the county for the remainder of the calendar year, and staffing overtime shifts, making sure we have sufficient staffing in our jail to conduct transports if we see a rise in arrests or something like that. So definitely going in the right direction, a positive direction. And then one last thing on the staffing, we do have, although we're full, we do have several people that are slated in the academy, but either are in the academy now or go to the academy. So Nevada Post holds 2 academies each year. They hold one in January, and then they graduate in May. And then the second academy of the year starts in July, and they graduate in mid-November. And so we have 5 people in the academy right now that are attending the academy. And then we have another group that's going in July. And so once we get all the people trained and off the streets, you're going to see a significant increase in law enforcement vehicles out there and so forth, which is in line with what County Manager Haskins talking about. So we're working great with them, have a good plan in place for vehicles, and so things are looking good. Things are definitely positive. So we'll have some life-saving awards, some meritorious service medal awards, and stuff coming up. So definitely be looking forward to that. That's all I have. So I'll entertain any questions if you guys have any.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah.
Commissioner Concaday.
Couple of things. Appreciate your quick response to my call on the cattle trucks speeding by Smith Valley School. Got several calls on that, which I'm going to talk to the road department about getting a sign put up there and across from Renner that says school zone ahead, because as those cattle trucks, they're hauling and they go right in front of the school there. Also, you had mentioned last night at the advisory board meeting that the deputy that was injured, and I'm glad that he's out of the hospital, that he actually blocked the homicide suspect from heading down towards the community center. So
yes, sir. So that was a busy night. So the Youth of the Year dinner was taking place in Yerington. In Smith Valley was a large event at the Smith Valley Hall, and our deputy knew that. We had one deputy working, and he was aware of that incident. So when the pursuit was coming our way from California, he actually blocked off the Wellington cutoff, so the vehicle would not go towards downtown Wellington, and which was good. It worked. The vehicle went northbound. At one point, the suspect actually went into the driveway of a residence, and at that point, the deputy decided that we're done doing this. This is a dangerous subject, and rammed the vehicle and took him, ended the pursuit. Basically, it disabled the vehicle. So Great job. Very tense situation, very dangerous situation. And he represented the county well.
And I appreciate that. Yes, I just wanted to have you bring that up for the general public because it's good to have people thinking on their feet when they're out there in a very complicated situation. And that's about all I have on that. I would like one request though. When any of us have a significant event in our district, if you've got a millisecond to call and just give us a heads up, like the homicide, I must have got 20 calls. What's going on? The significant fatality over there on 338. Same thing, people calling, we got cops everywhere, what's going on? And I'm not going to call and bother you, but you know, if at some point in any of our districts, we have a significant event, it would really be helpful for us to get just the bare minimum to feedback to the public when they call us.
Well, that brings up a good point, sir. That one of the issues that we wanted to do a press release for the homicide arrest, but the Washington County Sheriff's Office asked us to hold off because they were still actively working their investigation, and so we weren't able to do that. So I'll work on some sort of notification procedure internally, so we're all on the same page. We know there's no threats or anything like that, and what's going on. So thank you for bringing that up.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the sheriff?
Just thank the officer for thinking quick on his feet and putting himself in harm's way or herself. So hats off to your crew.
Well, you'll be seeing him soon. I put him in for a medal for that, so he'll be on the agenda soon. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Brings us to number 10, appointed officials reports. Nobody online?
See a hand up on that.
Okay. Good.
Good morning, commissioners. I wanted to address, I should say my name, I guess, Doug Homestead, facility director for the record. I want to address Commissioner Jacobs's concerns on the Friendly Justice Court. We are going to keep the name the same, probably put new letters up for them. And also we know about the capsule and it is in the flagpole. And when they remove that, we're going to try to install it in the new flagpole assembly.
Mr. Homestead, you are the man. Because I've had some calls, so thank you, sir.
It was kind of neat. We actually found some old drawings of it that I don't know how old they were, but of how they placed it and all that. So I don't think we'll have a problem getting out of there and saving it.
Roger that, and you are appreciated, buddy.
Any other appointed officials? Okay, we're going to move on to advisory board reports. Do we have any advisory board reports? None in the room, any online? Not seeing any hands. Going to move to number 12, consent agenda. Action will be taken on all items. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action and without an extensive hearing. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during this meeting. Does anyone have something they want to pull? Seeing none, any comment from the public? We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items 12A through 12F.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hockaday, second by Commissioner Casanelli. Those in favor say aye. 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 None opposed? Passes unanimous. Brings us back to the regular agenda. Action will be taken on all items unless otherwise noted. 13, utilities. 13A for presentation only, a project update from the utilities engineer.
Good morning, commissioners. For the record, my name is Kishore Panda. I'm the utility engineer for the county. This is the project updates from the utility department for the last quarter of 2024. Thank you. There are several projects. They are in different phases of implementation. As you can see, here is a summary of all the projects. So there are 3 projects under pre-design or planning stage. They are Rose Peak Water Main Replacement Project in Dayton, Silver Spring General Improvement District Wastewater Treatment Plant Effluent Disposal Study. The next one is Silver Spring GID Wastewater Treatment Plant Sludge Dewatering and Disposal Alternative Study. There is one project under design right now, that is Highway 50 Dayton Valley Road Sewer Replacement Project Phase 2. There are 2 projects under construction. The first one is Rolling a Wastewater Treatment Plant Phase 4 expansion. The second one is Silver Spring General Improvement District Aeration Improvement Project. In the last quarter, we completed one project, that is Smoky Hills Watermain Replacement Project in Dayton. Next, I'll present some of the details of each project, including their budget status, their schedule, and some status update of each project. This is Rose Peak Watermain Replacement Project in Dayton. This is under a planning state. This includes, the scope of the project includes replacing about 6,800 linear feet of water main on Gross Avenue between Flowery Avenue and Halita Avenue with 8-inch C900 PVC pipe. Estimated budget for this project is about $3.2 million. We got a grant from US EPA, about $2.5 million. The status of this project is, because of the grant requirement, we had to go through a competitive consultant selection. We did a selection of consultant in August and September. We have been working on the scope, defining the scope of the contractor, and also we are waiting for the agreement to be completed between the parties, and so that we can bring this contract to the board as soon as possible. Next one. Next one is an engineering study in Silver Spring wastewater treatment plant. That includes the evaluation of different effluent disposal options that include infiltration capacity of existing soils within the airport. That also includes the completion of the effluent disposal preliminary engineering report, then condition assessment of 2 effluent disposal related facilities that include disinfection process as well as the filtration system. We got ARPA funding for this project, about $257,000. As of date, we have spent about $13,000. Atkins is the engineer doing the study for this project. As of date, they presented the initial findings, including the cost estimate of the project. So next, I think we are going to get a technical memorandum for the staff review, evaluating this project of different components of the study. Next one. This is another study we are doing in Silver Spring GID wastewater treatment plant that includes evaluating options to dispose the sludge that's kind of full in the 2 existing sludge ponds. So 2 options we are looking at. One is doing a conventional one-time contractor-led dewatering process. Once it is clean, they'll be good for next up to 10 years or so. The second option we are looking at, is it cost effective to build a facility that can continuously dewater sludge as we run the treatment plant. So between those two options, we have a contract with Atkins Realis again, about $48,000. We have spent about $3,000 so far. They have developed an initial cost comparison and presented to staff last month. Due to some of the site constraints, most likely we are going to go with the contractor-driven one-time sludge dewatering process. So next, we are expecting a tech memo from the engineer to analyzing all these options and with their recommendations. So as soon as we get the recommendation, the evaluation done, we'll move to the sludge dewatering project in this coming summer. So hopefully by end of the summer, those 2 ponds will be clean and they're ready to go. Next. This project is under design right now. That is Highway 50 Dayton Valley Road Sewer Replacement Project Phase 2. Regarding the budget of this project, board approved financial year 2026 budget. I think we are proposing this budget. It's not approved yet. About $5 million. So far, board approved a design contract with Lumos Associates for $355,000, and we have spent about $252,000. Status of this project, there is a good news. We finally going to receive, or we received the NDOT permit last week or so. So there have been a lot of, at least over a year, discussions, alternative design, interaction with NDOT. So finally we got the permit. So now we are moving the 90% design, which was done last September. Now we'll go to the bid document, 100% design. So our plan is to advertise this project in next month and start the construction sometime in June or July of this summer. Next one. This project, rolling a wastewater treatment plant expansion, that's under construction since October 2023. In general, the scope is to expand the treatment plant capacity from current 1 million gallons per day to 1.4 million gallons per day. So that will basically take care of the wastewater flow from the Dayton sewer catchment area for next at least 15 to 20 years. Project budget is about $24 million. So far, we have spent about close to $16 million. Construction contract for this project is $20 million. We have spent about $14.35 million. This contract has a $1.8 million contingency fund to take care of any sort of unknown aspects of the project. We have spent about $322,000 so far. Status of this project, we started construction in October of 2023. Progress was very satisfactory until we hit some sort of issue with one of the major equipment supplier for this project. This is a project that has a pre-selected supplier, so we don't have choice to go to different other select suppliers. So this kind of contractual agreement, basically we have to rely with that particular supplier because the design was centered around that particular supplier's components. So with some sort of delay from the supplier, I think the general contractor is expecting some delay. They have submitted a revised schedule, which unfortunately is 7 months delay. So that kind of going to put us from September 2025 contractual date to April of 2026. There may be some more delay, but we are trying to see how we can cut down some of the delays so that we can minimize to at least less than 7 months. Next one. I have this changes. Basically, the department director has approved so far. I have a list of we call work change directives. So we have approved about $413,000, whereas we have paid only $322,000. We are also expecting some engineering cost escalation due to project delay. So we are working with the engineer who's Dowell. And we are trying to fit within the contingency money that board has approved for the project, which may or may not, we need additional money for this engineering aspects of the project. Next one. This is second project under construction, Silver Spring GID wastewater plant aeration system improvement. This is a project, very short term. We completed as we planned in September of 2024. There is one small item, punch list is pending. Board approved a time extension because of some change to the project. As of date, February 28th is a completion date. We are finishing that one punch list next week. So we're kind of going to wrap up as per the schedule. Budget of this project, I think we are under the budget, what has been approved, $662,000. We have cost to date is $524,000. Next one. This is the last project we completed in the last quarter of 2024. That is Smoky Hills Water Main Replacement Project. This involved about 5,000 linear foot of pipeline, some replacing the existing section, plus some additional new pipeline. Budget wise, we had total of contracts about $1.869 million. We spent about $1.732 million. Again, contingency wise, we didn't have much change out of this project, so we kind of hold pretty tight to the project. Out of $265,000, we only spent $40,000. Timeline wise, we finished the project within the time. Contractually, the date of completion was November 26. We finished substantially in October, and we closed the project by November 26. That's it. That's all I got. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Commissioner Hendricks?
I do have a question. Is there any penalty to the contractor for delays?
The contract has a liquidated damage amount for day basis. So as of date, we are evaluating what is the justification. I think contractor is requesting for time extension. So that discussion is going on right now. But there is a contractual liquidated damage in the project contract.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jacobson?
Thank you, Chair Keller. On the rolling A, I see there was a contingency fund used of $322,620, and it says to see details below and Appendix A. So I guess I didn't. Where's that 322,000?
Yeah, I see that confusion. The table next page shows $413,000 that has been approved. Not necessarily we have paid everything because steel contract is doing some of the things. So 312 plus $322,000. That's in Appendix A. That shows how much we have paid to the contractor. If you go to the
So that's what we paid to the contract. That's not out of the contingency fund for that project out of that 1.8 million.
That's out of 1.8. So this is the process. Board authorized the department head to authorize any kind of small changes in the project. So far, we have approved about 12 works and directives with a total cost of $413,000. Out of that, we have paid $322,000, which you can see in the second page of Appendix A. So that's the actual payment made so far out of what has been approved, which is $413,000.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? I do have a question on the on the Silver Springs GID, on the study. Right now, it looks like you're gonna probably go with the contractor to haul it off. But if there becomes rapid growth in the area or just usage of the sewer, that study, can it just be updated, or do we have to go to new studies if we're gonna move forward down the road to the other system?
Well, comparing the two options, the cost kind of similar within 100,000 difference. But the limitations with the GeoTube, which is the option of continuous dewatering, we need a lot of space to put those tubes and the pad. But around the pond, we don't have enough room to put those tubes. There is another con to that process is we have to have operator time to run that process. So considering both sides, I think engineer is going to recommend to typically people do bring a contractor, bring a machine, pump everything, dewater, and put the slots to the landfill. Then we are good for next 10 to 15 years. But depending on the growth, which may be less than 10 years, maybe 5 years, we have to clean again.
So we should be looking at space too, if we're gonna go down that, then the long haul.
That's the plan. Probably this time we'll do the one-time dewatering using the mechanical dewatering system. Then we'll see if we can expand the plant boundary, find some room, and then continue to explore this option to install a GeoTube system. We went to Douglas County, they have also the same system. So they used to do the same one-time dewatering. I think last few years back, they put the GeoTube so that sludge is continuously dewater as it is produced. They found some benefits, that was our goal, but once the engineer basically came up with the space requirement, we don't have that much room around the plant.
Thank you. Mr. Casanelli.
Do you have any timeline on when there might be an update on the Dayton rib issue?
Yeah,
Rolling age.
Oh, well, I didn't put that in my regular update on the board. Right now, staff and Dowell, we are working together. We had a couple of technical meetings. So basically, we are trying to explore some option to optimize the reed capacity. Like, for example, we did staff dug a trench to distribute the flow along the length of the reed. We collected 1 month of data, gave to Dowell to analyze. Then the next action, they recommended that extend the pipe to the other end of the reed so that the water is going to more distribute in the groundwater. So that's what we are doing right now. Last week, our staff going to Tesla, we got some free pipe, 14-inch pipe. So we are kind of going to do a temporary setup so that effluent can go to the other end, where Dowell found that there is more room to accommodate more infiltration capacity than what we are doing right now on the north side. So within next couple of weeks, we build that pipeline based on Dowell recommendation. Then we'll continue to operate and see whether the capacity is going up or down, how much it's going up. So Dowell also recommended installing temporary piezometers. They're going to kind of track the groundwater all the way from the reed to the Carson River. So once that is done, we are going to know how much is groundwater playing based on how much water we are putting into the system. So that will give the data set that Dowell is developing a model so that they can play with the model and see what would be the right capacity right now for the reeds. So that's basically the status on that side. I didn't report because that kind of outside of the projects, but that's kind of the status right now.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 14, Human Services. For possible action, approve a contract between Lyon County and Hometown Cleaning for $39,642.50 to provide homemaker services to the individuals within the Senior Services Case Management Program.
Good morning, Dr. Shayla Holmes, Director, Lyon County Human Services. For the record, this is a standard contract for us to bring on hometown cleaning to be able to provide homemaker services and make sure nobody goes without disruption.
Any questions? Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Chairman Kell, I make a motion to approve a contract between Lyon County and Hometown Cleaning for $39,642.50 to provide homemaker services to individuals within the Senior Services Case Management Program.
Do I have a second? Got a motion from Commissioner Jacobson, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Brings it to 14B. For possible action, approve the services of independent contractor Marcella Adams, LCSW, in an amount not to exceed $94,456 to provide behavioral health clinician services with the Lyon County Resilient Families Program.
Shayla Holmes for the record again. This is also a standard contract to fulfill some of our behavioral health services. While we were able to create a behavioral health clinician position in-house, we still have a lot of need that we're filling via contractors. One of our contractors accepted that full-time position as an employee, so now we're backfilling that contract need.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none, public comment? Seeing none? Entertain motion?
Move to approve the services of independent contractor Maricela Adams LCSW in an amount not to exceed $94,456 to provide behavioral health clinician services within the Lyon County Resilient Families LCRF program.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, second by Commissioner Hockaday. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. 14C for possible action, approve a contract between Lyon County and Marcella Adams, LCSW, in an amount not to exceed $13,650 to provide behavioral health clinician services with the trauma focused therapy program.
Shayla Holmes for the record again. Similarly to 14B, this is the exact same scenario, bringing on the contractor just to work under a different bucket of grant funds. Different program.
Do we have any questions from the board? Any public comment? I entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve a contract between Lyon County and Maricela Adams, LCSW, in an amount not to exceed $13,650 to provide behavioral health clinician service with the trauma focused therapy program.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hockaday, seconded by Commissioner Casanelli. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Brings us to 15, community development. 15A for possible action, authorize the county manager to sign and submit a right-of-way application to the Bureau of Land Management to obtain an additional 30 feet right-of-way for the southern portion of Yaffe Street between Elm Street and Jean Street, and the eastern portion of Elm Street between Yaffe Street and Mountain Drive, APN 016-22144.
Good morning, Commissioners. Gavin Harris, Community Development Director. So the BLM right-of-way application seeks to secure an additional 30 feet of right-of-way along portions of, and if I'm pronouncing this wrong, feel free to correct me, but Yaffe Street and Elm Street to address future public infrastructure needs stemming from the tract development to the west of so this request specifically applies to the southern portion of Yaffe Street between Elm Street and Jean Street, and the eastern portion of Elm Street between Yaffe Street and Mountain Drive. So these roadways have been identified as needing additional right of way to support roadway alignment improvements, public utility installations, and compliance with county right of way with standards. So the subject property, which is APN 016-221-44, is land managed and owned by the Bureau of Land Management. Therefore, it is required that this application follow federal procedures for the right of way acquisition. Moving forward, a critical point to emphasize is that the BLM application process requires formal authorization from the governing body before the application can be submitted and processed. So this is a required procedural step, and without the board's authorization, the application cannot move forward. I also want to note that this application carries no financial impact to the county. So the right-of-way request is being pursued by a tract development as part of their project. However, because this pertains to public right of way, the county has to serve as the official applicant on that application. Additionally, there is no road construction plan at this time, and the county will not assume maintenance responsibility for those roads until they're fully constructed and approved by the county. As we're not, there's no immediate financial obligations. This is simply just a asking the board to allow us to submit the application. With that, are there any questions?
Any questions? Comments?
I know the exhibit's in black and white, so if it was not clearly that the dashed lines are not clearly visible, I can't point those out.
So I had a question just about the naming of a road.
Yes.
So when you said Yaff and I was saying Yaffe, do we have a thing in our road department of how to pronounce the names? Because I have this trouble with everywhere in Lyon County.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. No, we don't. I can make something up, but I don't have anything.
Thank you. So Yaffe Street it is.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, well, I entertain a motion. Oh, wait, public comment? Seeing none. I entertain a motion.
Move to authorize the county manager to sign and the county community development department to submit a right-of-way application to the Bureau of Land Management to obtain an additional 30 feet of right-of-way for the southern portion of Yaffe Street between Elm Street and Jean Street, and the eastern portion of Elm Street between Yaffe Street and Mountain Drive, APN 016-22144.
Second. We have a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And I'm going to take a quick break right now and come back for 15B. 5 minutes. It's good. 15B for presentation only, updating presentation by Dan Smith on developments within Lyon County owned by Lucas Homes and Development LLC.
Good morning. My name is Don Smith. I'm the manager of Lucas Homes and Development. I wanted to give you an update, and I've had to wait for this meeting because there's going to be some very significant changes in our operation. It's going to affect the county. Mr. Lucas passed away at the beginning of the month on January 10th. The last time I was involved with Traditions was 2008. And nothing was presented to the board when that fell apart. Equipment was left all over site, materials, open trenches. And so I wanted to come before you and let you know what I believe is going to happen. That I'm going to strive to get completed and hopefully address any questions you might have. Currently, we are underway with about $32 million in construction on the Tradition site. We have another potential 20 million between Traditions and Enterprise that we're going to suspend. Some projects will be impacted, some won't. So I just asked you. This thing? Okay. So this is the Traditions development that we are working on presently, and also shows some of Enterprise. Does this have a? It doesn't. We intend to complete all of the residential units. We have those under contract with a national builder. That would be everything on the left that's in purple, yellow, and pink. That represents approximately 313 residential units. We will continue and complete those. They should all be done within the next 22 and a half months. I have a fixed point out there of December 31st of 2026 to be done with all of those residential lots and turn those over to Lennar. Our commercial area is going to be the most impacted. What did I do wrong? So I want to go to that next slide. This shaded area represents our commercial area. You'll see the little tooth, and I'll get to it in a minute, that's up above the roundabout. That's the government center site. We'll be placing all of the commercial industrial property up for sale. We're going to hope that we can get one national builder to come in and take the whole thing over. That's going to be a difficult task to do. We won't be involved with doing any of the sales of individual pads to. We've been entertaining some inquiries from big box and small box people. We're gonna have to let that go for the next purchase of the property. We will be putting into place some very strict CC&Rs because we have a vision, and I want to see that vision completed as much as I can. And the way we can do that is with recorded documents like CC&R. So we'll be putting those in place. Can we go to the next slide? I think what's of great interest to the county would be your government site. Your government site is depicted right here in the purple. I know that you're well underway with your planning, and we have a commitment to you to complete all of our commercial roadways. Nevada Station to the left of the roundabout, Traditions Parkway has been completed. All the roads that are shown in gray will be completed. I think I'm going to have those done by August of 15th of this year. So we'll have all of those roadways completed. It's 4-lane highway, part of it. We will not be doing any perimeter landscaping on that. We have to leave that for the next group that's coming in. We will be also constructing in the green area, the town center park that will sit right across from the government center. It's a promise that I'd made we're going to follow through with. And then we have the roundabout. It's not colored in, but I've got the arrow there that we will complete going into the site. Can we go to the next slide? This is an example of the park that we're going to be completing. The government center would sit between just to the right of that green strip on the right slide. We believe that we can have this completed by October of this year. We're going to start that as soon as we get our finished curbs and gutters in. Can we go to the next slide? This is the roundabout. I have to work with utilities. That roundabout, it's not a little thing. It's larger than the roundabout at Neal Road and Kitski Lane in Reno. So we have a bunch of easements that go through there. So we have to work very closely. I'll be meeting with Mr. Burketta to see how we can arrange the structures that we've got in there. Can we go to the next slide, please? We have our casino site, which is shown here. We have interest in that right now, and we're going to be coming forward here in the next couple of months with a boundary lot adjustment and a zoning request change. That zoning request change will also take into account the work that we were doing for Lyon County on your site. Next slide, please. This is offer traditions, but it's just as important. We have 3 sites right there that represent a total of 11 buildings. The one that I've shown right there is what we call 35 Enterprise. If you can go to the next slide. This was completed 6 months ago, and we are in process of leasing. It is complete. All we have to do is a little bit of signage. Next slide. The next project we have is 23. That sits right next to 35. It was be comprised of 4 structures. Can you go to the next slide? We right now are underway with utility and civil improvements on that site. As soon as the civil improvement portion of the project is completed, this project will be shut down. We will not be spending any money on it. It's one of the projects that we're going to have to sacrifice. Next slide. That's what the site looks like right now. We had the 2 building pads completed. They're bringing the power onto the site. All of our utilities are on right now, and then we're going to put in some driveways here in the next couple of months. Next slide. Our 10 Enterprise project, which is right on the highway, is comprised of 7 structures. If we could go to the next slide. We have 7 structures that are there. We have completed about 80% of our civil improvements. All of the concrete foundations for the 7 buildings are in place. We can go to the next slide. This is what the buildings are going to look like. have the mission to complete these buildings. This will all be finished and we will, including the landscaping, perimeter fencing, it'll be a nice secure site. Next slide. This is our Sage Vista project. The one that we came to you about a month ago with the pit. We will not be moving forward with anything on this site. It is just for sale. The way it is, we're not even going to move forward with entitlements at this time. We'll leave that for the next group, whoever comes in to purchase it. Next slide. This is our specific plan that was approved 5 years ago. And I'll be interested to see what the next group comes up with. Next slide, please. This one, maybe some people are going to be happy. I don't know. This is what we call Iron Valley, is the sod farm. This project will be sold as it is. We will not be doing any construction on that site at all. We have a sign on the site there at Leagard. It's going to say for sale within the next 2 weeks. Next slide. This is the layout that we had. It is shovel ready. We have phases 1A and 1B that are approved that we could literally start tomorrow morning, but due to Mr. Lucas's health, we thought it was just best not to start it a month ago. I couldn't tell anybody why we slowed things down, but that's the reason. Next sheet. And that's the twilight of the project. So I just want to let you know that we're going to make sure that the site is completely safe. There'll be no open trenches. There'll be no health or safety issues that we have to contend with there. I'm happy to say we're a little different than most developers. We carry no debt at all on anything that we do, except that we incur in the month's work that is accomplished on site. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. It's a very disappointing day for me.
Commissioner Jacobson. Thank you, Chairman Keller. First of all, condolences to you and your company and the Lucas family, obviously. And I just know the pride you take in all your work and developments. So for you to have to step back, I know it's caused you great heartache. And I know you have created a lot of homes and Mr. Lucas has created a lot of homes for folks in Lyon County. And I appreciate that. And thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo Commissioner Jacobson, my condolences, and that's tough news. Being from Dayton and looking forward to some new progress and seeing it be put on hold, particularly the commercial. Disappointed, but definitely understand. So.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed. I was on this in 2008 and it literally stopped in a week. And it didn't start back up again until 3 years ago when we took it over. And I hope it doesn't take that long again. Oh, I did forget one very key element. Thank you very much. The traffic signal is paid for. It's an escrow. The contracts are signed. That light will be in place by the end of August. Andrew just signed the last document that we had to have from Nevada Energy so we can get power to it. But that signal will be ready for NDOT to turn on if they so desire to flip the switch on it. I don't have control over that. But that signal is in. The contractor on that is Titan Electric and SNC out of Reno. And we should be underway within the next 30 days on that. So that's one thing I feel. It took 5 years to get that signal. I think it's a great thing for the Dayton Valley.
Thank you for the presentation.
If you could turn on your mic, sorry.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation and sorry to hear about Mr. Lucas. Appreciate you coming in and letting us know what's going to be going on with the property. Certainly important for the upper part of the county, and you've done a lot of improvements and set up a lot of things for the benefit of the people up in the north end of the county and industrial wise, our tax base. So hang in there. Okay.
I'm 73. It's time to retire.
I agree. Yeah, me too.
Commissioner Hendricks.
If you have any questions, feel free to call me.
I just want to thank you for being responsible and how you're going about closing all this down. You've always been a really, not just worked well with the county, but also the communities that you built in, and we appreciate it.
We tried very, very hard. Thank you all.
Commissioner Jacobson, were you raising? Oh. Well, I want to echo everybody on the board, their opinion and everything else. Thank you for coming down and going over that. I did have one question on our parcel. I know we talked before about the parcel for the county. And if we wanted to expand anything out there, did we already secure all the land that we need if we're ever going to secure? Or is that a?
We weren't going to talk about that today.
Okay, if we're not going to talk about it, I'll let you guys talk about it.
We met yesterday and I think Andrew and I have a plan moving forward for you to give you some options there. Nothing that has to happen today, tomorrow, next year, or the year after, but just so we have a way that you can, if you want to expand. That was always the intention of what we did. I don't know if you want to add anything, but we're going to work on that, but it's too preliminary to, bring anything to you at this point.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Keller, I will say one thing. You said something, Mr. Smith, 73 and starting. I don't see you retiring. So I'm gonna call you on that one.
Thank you very much. You guys have worked on this very hard too. These are always hard projects to put to sleep. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, number 16A for possible action, authorize the county manager to provide written notice notification to the Lyon County Community Development Director as required by Lyon County Development Code 15.349.15.A.1 regarding the violation of the final approved plan or any section thereof for the lakes at Dayton Valley Planned Unit Development concerning assessor parcel numbers APN 016-351-16, 016-351-17, and 016-361-60, owned by Lyon County, generally located north of Dayton Valley Road and east and west of Minor Road.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. So this is kind of an interesting one. We received a request for a PUD amendment for this development and something that was kind of interesting is that our properties at Miravita were included in that PUD amendment because it was all part of the original PUD. Now, obviously, we acquired that property after it got sold. But due to it still being in the PUD, that PUD amendment would affect it. So we took a look at code and had to figure out, how do we get removed from that PUD? Turns out it's a pretty simple process. All we have to do is send a letter, but the board has to approve that letter, approve me to send that letter to the Community Development Director so we can get that resolved. What that PUD says for that property for Miravita is that it would be houses and whatnot. So this would remove us from that. It would leave the zoning as is. We would change the zoning later on for depending on what we as the county decides to do with that property. So it does change the rights on what we have to do with that property. However, the board can change it back later if for whatever reason. I just don't see the county selling that property to a developer to build houses. And we've had some other discussions about what to do with that. It was the original site for the government complex, but it was going to be quite a bit more expensive to develop that. So anyway, I'm happy to answer any questions the board has on that.
Any questions or comments? Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Chairman Carroll, make a motion to authorize the county manager to provide written notification to the Lyon County Community Development Director as required by Lyon County Development Code 15.349.15.A.1 regarding the abandonment of the final approved plan or any sections thereof for the lakes at Dayton Valley Planned Unit Development concerning assessor parcels APNs 016-351-16, 016 35117 and 016-36160, owned by Lyon County, generally located north of Dayton Valley Road and east and west of Minor Road.
We have a second. Second. Got a motion by Commissioner Jacobson, second by Commissioner Hockaday. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Brings us to 16B for possible action, discuss and provide direction to the county manager regarding legislation for the 83rd session of Nevada legislature. Legislation includes Assembly Bills 14, 51, 64, 70, and 78, Assembly Joint Resolution 1, Senate Bills 69, 70, 78, 100, 109, 123, and Senate Joint Resolution 4. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Taylor Allison, Lyon County Emergency Management Government Affairs, for the record. Before I jump into the presentation, we are officially on day 4 of the 83rd session of the Nevada legislature. I was just speaking to the director of NACO yesterday, how yesterday already felt like day 100, so we're off to a great start. We're currently tracking 264 bills and resolutions. The potential impacts to Lyon County, and of course, our goal is to minimize those impacts to the best of our ability, understanding there likely will be some in some capacity, but and being a voice for our constituents in the best way forward. So this presentation is a list of priority bills. The goal is to bring forward those of great importance to the board. So you also have a staff recommended position for each of those that have been provided on the agenda today. Thank you. So starting with Assembly Bill 14, this is a bill brought forward by the Nevada Association of Counties. Will be housed at the Assembly Committee of Government Affairs, requiring county officers to be registered to vote in Nevada. AB 14 was introduced after several counties. Some of those, Douglas and Carson City, ran into examples of candidates that were not registered to vote. The staff recommended position is to support the initial text as introduced. Most of the positions will say support the text as introduced, understanding that it's very likely they will change. And language may be included in the future as it goes to committee and is workshopped that you may not like as a result. So as introduced, the recommendation is to support. Assembly Bill 51. This is brought forward by the Nevada League of Cities, which allows governments to charge a reasonable technology fee for public records requests. It also provides a great benefit. I know many of our departments have been impacted. The requester must make a reasonable effort to assist the governmental entity to focus and narrow down the request. I know some of us, myself included, have had requests that include thousands of emails because it's not narrowed down enough, and we provide what we have. So the staff recommended position is to support the initial text as introduced. Assembly Bill 64. This is an open meeting law bill, which makes various changes to the open meeting law, including minimum 3 minutes for public comment, prohibits hearings of contested cases by means of remote technology unless a physical location is also provided. And then it adds language that nothing shall be construed to affect civil action or defamation or any similar cause of action made by a member of the public during public comment. This one's a neutral one, but we're going to want to monitor it closely. So far, we see very minimal impacts to the county for this one, but any open meeting law bill we have flagged to monitor it closely. Assembly Bill 70. This is another NACO bill, which provides counties in which a renewable energy facility will be located an opportunity to submit written comments on the application and requires those comments to be considered when determining to approve or deny an application for partial abatement. So the staff recommended position is to support as introduced. Assembly Bill 78. This bill removes the ability for county commissioners to approve, deny applications for alcohol importers, wholesalers, wineries, breweries, etc., and instead would give that to the Department of Taxation. The commission would forward a recommendation for approval or denial. Of course, any bill that takes authority away from the county commission, which is local government closest to the people. We propose an opposition. There have been conversations between counties and the Department of Taxation. They're willing to have discussions on this one, as well as with industry representatives.
Sorry to interrupt. Was marijuana lounges mentioned in this one too, or do you think that might be added?
I have no information that marijuana or cannabis dispensaries would be included. This is specific to alcohol wholesalers and those industry providers or industry types. But if there's any changes, we'll certainly monitor them. So this is a complex one. Assembly Joint Resolution 1 proposes to amend the Nevada Constitution to revise provisions relating to the assessment and taxation of real property, which is sold or transferred. And the second part of that one is it requires the legislature to enact a program to provide property tax assistance to seniors and persons with disabilities. The recommendation for position is neutral at this time. The resolution does not have any language that would be included in a potential bill if this moves forward. We do have some concerns related to those that would be eligible for the senior assistance. It does potentially include rental properties or those that rent properties. Lyon County currently has a little over 21,000 people that would potentially be eligible for that. And so the language, if it were to fall back on the county and impact our revenues, would be a significant challenge for us. And so continue to have conversations with representatives on if this is intended for the state budget. More information to come on that. Okay, Senate Bill 69. So this is Story County's bill. I know many of you are familiar with. Requires audit information for partial tax abatements to be disclosed to the county assessor and county treasurer in which the data center project is located. We've received a lot of updated information. Essentially, counties are getting the information too late in the application process, working with Governor's Office of Economic Development. And then the counties are only allowed to provide public comment currently, along with everyone else. So you get your 3 minutes as part of the meeting. So this at least allows some initial notification to the counties in these projects that are moving forward through the application process. The staff recommended position is to support initial text as introduced.
Stop on that one. One of the other things that was brought up on that one is also be able to get back into the buildings to do the assessment after it's been built so that we can continue to see what the revenue is inside so that we can always go back in.
So Senate Bill 70 makes an appropriation to the city of Fernley for the Community Response and Resource Center. I know Commissioner Jacobson, you wanted to see this on our list to track, and our staff recommend position is to support, as this project would be and is of great benefit to Lyon County residents. Senate Bill 78. This is a very challenging bill for many of our departments. I'm going to highlight a couple of the challenges, but it's a 90-something page bill, which reorganizes every board, commission, committee in the state. Notably, which I like to bring forward and why I included the staff recommendation to oppose, is that it eliminates the Comstock Historic District and lumps it in to form a new Cultural Historic Preservation Board. It creates a number of challenges for Community Development Department. Also, because the new composition includes representatives from Lyon and Story, our representatives would be approving applications to that board for other areas of the state. There's a lot of challenges with it. So we've been working closely with Story County on a conceptual amendment that allows us time to look at impacts to the Comstock Historic District and what works best for our communities. Of course, in our opinion, the best place for that to live is at the local level. Mm-hmm. And I'll just highlight real quick for Senate Bill 78, there are a number of other boards that are impacting or consolidating, affecting, I know human services, emergency management, even there's a new disaster response board, which is very duplicative to an existing resilience advisory board. And so we have several comments on that one, but the Comstock Historic District is the highlight there. Okay, Senate Bill 100, this bill governs performance on certain election duties in a timely manner. This one is concerning because it allows the Secretary of State to step in and charge the county if the clerk is unable to perform in the established timelines set forth by the Secretary of State's office. It also requires Secretary of State approval for mechanical voting systems. It's brought forward by Senator Skip Daly. So our recommendation is to oppose initial text as introduced. It's concerning that the county would be charged in that capacity. And so the goal is to have conversations with the bill sponsor about addressing that language. Senate Bill 109 reduces the number of bill draft requests across the board. This is brought forward by Senator Robin Titus. So in general, the number of bills has become unmanageable. So this is something that would greatly benefit us for reducing the number of bills that would impact the county. However, it does reduce the number of allowable bills by NACO from 5 to 4. Does not currently impact counties with under 100,000 in population. So that's something we'd want to work with Dr. Titus, Senator Titus on addressing that language as this bill moves forward.
I do have a little concern on that with the NACO bill, because in a lot of our county bills, we go to NACO in order to make sure that it gets through with the support of all the counties. And since they only have 5 now, we're competing with other counties like Clark, like Washoe, that wanted NACO to push their bills through. So that would eliminate one of those bills that we would have an opportunity to with NACO. So I'm really watching that one.
Senate Bill 123, this is another one where it eliminates an authority from the county commission. So regardless of the topic, these that pull away from the county commission's ability to address these key issues that impact our communities. This one prohibits the county commissioners from enacting any rent control ordinances, and the recommendation is to oppose on the basis of removing the authority from the local government. And then finally, Senate Joint Resolution 4. This one is recommended in support as it urges the federal government to recognize land use planning principles when conducting projects in our state. Planning principles include providing early notification to the state and impacted local governments and providing opportunities for meaningful input from state and local governments on those projects. And of course, that directly aligns with several of the key topics that come before your commission. And so we'll be watching that one closely as bill language comes forward. So that concludes the initial batch of bills coming before you. I'm sure there'll be many more as we move forward through the session. I'll take any questions.
Questions?
Question here.
Commissioner Hockaday.
Thank you, Chairman Keller. On Assembly Bill 70 that deals with renewable energy, it says county where it's going to be, the farm is going to be similar to the one going into Mineral County. I would really like to have somebody insert the words "in affected counties," because we're affected tremendously due to East Walker Road, and we can't really do much about it. Plants going in Mineral County. So I think we should have a say on something that happens that affects our counties, even though it may be a plant in another one.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Hockaday. I'll bring that feedback back to NACO, their director, and the committee chairs as we have those conversations.
Any more comments? Questions? Any public comment? Yeah, I'm looking for a motion.
I move that we accept her recommendations, staff's recommendations on the legislation that she has brought forward.
Second.
Of a motion from Commissioner Hendricks, second by Commissioner Hockaday. Is that all you were looking for as direction? And go to the vote. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Brings us to number 17, appointments. For possible action, appointing member to the Library Board of Trustees with a term expiring June 30th, 2028. You want to present this at all, or?
Certainly can, sorry. David Haskin, Lyon County Manager for the record. So at their last meeting last week, the library board voted to forward a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners to recommend Suzanne Prouty for the vacant trustee seat. As I've explained to this board in a previous presentation, our current county policy states that when there's a vacancy on that board, while it is up to this board to fill those vacancies, that the policy is to get a recommendation from the library board first and then bring that recommendation back. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't know if the board is planning on asking any questions of any of the applicants or what process you would like to use. If you are, we can certainly draw numbers to see who goes first, or however the board would like to handle that.
You guys want to hear from the other applicants? Yeah or nay?
Well, they're here and they'd like to share something. I'm always willing to listen to any of these folks that are volunteering. I'm not gonna discount their time and effort.
Okay, so with to me, it only takes one commissioner to want to hear something, so we're gonna go ahead with that. And I think as far as the order, I think we can just go where we have printed in the agenda. So we'll start off with hearing from Suzanne Prouty. If she's here.
Suzanne Prouty. Good morning to you. So I just wanted to tell you why I think I was recommended for this position as the 5th trustee.
Can I let you just go 1 second?
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna limit all this to 2 minutes, so everybody knows how much time they have to talk, okay?
I'll talk fast.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm Suzanne Prouty, and so what I bring to the position, in addition to a lifelong love of books and libraries, is my service as an elected trustee and a blend of professionalism, a passion for libraries, and respect for community values. First and foremost, I have served on other boards as a trustee. My first elected position was in 1996 for the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District as a board member and later president. Right now, I serve as an elected trustee and chairman for the Fernley Swimming Pool District. Before starting my leadership development, I was an executive director in social services. I trained crisis line responders. I'm a certified Office of Criminal Justice Planning trained responder in sexual assault. And I put programs into our local schools in Truckee that focused on safety. For the last 25 years, I've been a global leadership development consultant in influence and negotiation, and also worked for years as a mediator, both in internal corporate conflicts as well as in divorces. So that experience is what I bring to this position. In Truckee, I was a friend of the library for years. In Fernley, I used the library, but even more important, I'm a Daughters of the American Revolution member, which means we focus on education and patriotism. So I put a display in our Fernley Library for the Constitution last September when the Constitution was signed. I have a huge display up right now at TMCC Genealogy Library on founding mothers and unsung heroes Women of the American Revolution, and that's been there for 3 months. My DAR goals are centered around, as I said, patriotism and education. I asked the Fernley Library to let me use their space in 2025 and again in 2026 to set up displays around the 4th of July. But thank you, please consider me, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Now from Hillary Daschle. She's available. Is she online? Okay, I'll come back if get a second chance at the end. Lynn Evans. Okay, moving on to Summer Merrill.
I would just like to use this opportunity again to voice my support in favor of who the board recommended already. Suzanne Prouty, I feel that she would be a wonderful addition. She's very, very qualified, and she does live in the geographic area of Fernley, which is not currently represented at the current board level. So thank you.
Public comment?
Morning, Commissioners. I am Patty Palmer, and I am seeking the position of Lyon County Library Trustee. As an active member of both the community and Lyon County, I want to serve the people in guiding, shaping, and supporting the county libraries wisely and responsibly, ensuring the libraries operate on a solid and trusted foundation. I will be a proponent for the library system and the benefits it brings to the community. As a professional in the community, I enjoy bringing people together for mutually beneficial outcomes. So fundraisers and events, for example. I enjoy collaborating with others to solve problems and concern with an eye to the future. As a steward of the public trust, I believe in financial responsibility and accountability. I'm a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 8. I grew up going to the library, and I want to take an active role in ensuring the future of our library system. I used to be a coach when my kids were little. I coached Little League, I coached soccer, I coached tennis. So I'm very involved with youth sports. I was involved with the kids' classrooms. I was a room mom, so I was very involved with the kids growing up. And also in the library. I grew up going to the library. I would take baton lessons at the community center, and then afterwards waited for my mom to pick me up, and I would always be in the library. That's where I spent the time. I think that's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time.
Thank
and
you.
consideration.
Thank you. We'll move on to John Stevens. Jim Wilkinson. Lisa Simon. And I'm gonna bring it back to the discussion on the board, and then I'll go to public comment and then bring it back after public comment. So is there any initial discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Keller. One of the things that I always look at in these applications is the number of meetings that people have attended for these boards. And I feel it's pretty important that they kind of get a feel for what's going on with these boards. Especially if you have a desire to be on them. And I do see a lot of times that people apply and they've never been to a meeting at all. So, I would say that if people want somewhat of my support, that it's a good idea for them to at least zoom in on these meetings.
Any other comment? Commissioner Castellano.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Hockaday that I'd just like to say, thank you to all the applicants. There's some really great applications here, and I personally know 3 of these people, Two of them I've known 30, well, I don't know, long time. Shared many dinners, family vacations, holidays, things like that. But that's not what this vote is about today. It's about selecting the right candidate that's right for the job, and that's what I feel that I'm gonna do today, and hopefully I know my friends will respect that, and hopefully others will as well. Thank you.
Any more comments before we go public comment?
Yeah, we had one application before all the others, before this blew up into a big issue. And I think that says something that this person wanted to get involved before it became a hot issue. And so that's going to be the person that I'm going to support.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Excuse me. Thank you, Chair. This has the same feel regarding significance to get this right as our North Lyon County Fire Board appointment. And I'm not downplaying other board appointments, whether it's from our local cabs to whatever. So I do believe North Lyon County needs representation on this board. And so to make my decision even more difficult, both the people I really trust to do a good job are from Fernley, Patty Palmer and Miss Prouty. Much like the aforementioned appointment with the North Lyon County Fire Board, I have lost a little sleep over this, but I want to make sure I get it right on my vote. Said I've narrowed it down to the two ladies. And while I think Miss Palmer would do a fantastic job, I know she would. I just can't get past Miss Prouty's background and work within the library system. I'm a big fan of Constitution. As principal, the Republican ladies would bring in constitutions and do Constitution Day. We would just that kind of patriotism strikes me as very valuable, and so I will be putting my vote towards Miss Prouty, but I do want to wholeheartedly thank Miss Palmer. I know she is a wonderful lady and has incredible integrity. Very difficult decision.
So looking at those two, I would have to agree with Commissioner Jacobson as far as I think the representation should come out of Fernley. That's where it's needed. That's the spot that's actually vacating a little bit. I've sat on boards for years as far as the advisory boards, and this is basically another board that I think that I kind of look at to see who's better off with the public, what type of balance on that board. So the balance is very important to me because I don't like boards that are done one direction and one direction only. And it kind of like, I don't even like how we get the recommendation from the library board at this point in time. And that's because they're picking their own board. And I didn't really, I don't feel good with that. I feel like this board should have a diversity about it, about the whole community. And I know Patty Palmer came here to be on the planning commission, and I said no to her, but I knew she was on for this. So my vote's going to go with Patty Palmer at the moment, but I still want to listen to public comment and then bring it back to the board. So we'll move to public comment. Is there any more public comment? I see a couple online there.
You want to start online?
No, I'll go right here in the room.
My name's Jeff Ulrich and I live in Wellington. This is about children.
We used to nurture and protect children in our nation. Now, if we allow them to live to birth, 1 in 3 in Nevada do not. They become prey for the lust of adults who are authors and supporters of sexually explicit material. We can change what's in our library by adopting a do no harm policy. Very simple. To protect, inspire, and enable children and teens. Basically, make America great again with their lives. Many will call this censorship. Common sense says it's making the best use of scarce library space for the betterment of teens and children. A simple example. We should not give children advice on a hazardous activity, such as chainsaw operation, with which they will likely harm themselves. Choices must be made on what libraries will have and will not have in its service to the taxpaying public. Trustee Deanne Davis supports removal of sexually explicit material from the children and teen sections of our county libraries to protect, enable, and inspire the county's children. Trustees Nora Stevens, Jan Schwartz, and Kay Edwards appear to want to keep sexually explicit material in the children and teens sections of our county libraries, regardless of the impacts. I believe Patty Palmer, another library trustee candidate from Fernley, would support removal of said documents. And I recommend the county commissioners select her as a better candidate for the vacant library trustee position. Whereas the other members of the board appear to want to keep sexually explicit material in the children and teen sections of our county libraries, regardless of the effect of children and teens, if true, they would have violated the principle of do no harm. And I suggest they be removed from the library trustees board for cause.
Leslie Sine from Wellington. I totally get what Commissioner Hockaday is saying, because going to a lot of meetings, I see how you get the applicants and you struggle with that every time. Who's been there, who's been showing up. So I totally understand Mr. Hockaday's position on that and the frustration. At the same time, and I know none of the candidates, only from having seen them here or seeing them at the Board of Trustees where they were interviewed by the board. So I would say that I support Suzanne Prouty based upon her background and what she would bring to the table. And most importantly, even though I understand Mr. Keller doesn't like the process, that is the process that's in place of actually supporting your library board of trustees, who did the vetting, who did all of that, listened to them and made the decision based upon the more in-depth interviews, so actually question and answer type thing. So I would ask that you support their decision moving forward. Thank you.
Any more public comment in the room?
Good afternoon. Julia Pounds, recently retired from the FAA, a critical and heavily researched area, all data, all the time, keep the planes in the air. I graduated from YHS here, went to school in the Yerington system, went away to college, went away to the FAA, recently retired here. I lived my whole school life in libraries, and even after that. Lots of afternoons spent in this old courthouse. Loved the libraries. And so I'm just here to remind everybody about church and state. I don't want my kids, my grandkids, my friends' kids to be deprived of that liberty. Thank you. Therefore, I'm here to speak in support of the library board's recommendation.
Go ahead.
My name is Sarah Ross. I'm from Silver City.
I need to sign in too.
Okay. I attended the library board meeting a few weeks ago, as I am a citizen of Lyon County and have been for over 20 years. I've raised my children here. I have participated in the libraries. I have been in and out of libraries for those 20 years, participating in story times, taking my kids there for summer activities, using it myself, recommending it to other people. I have yet to see the pornography that is being reported in these libraries. I also know and am friends with a couple of the people that have applied to be on this library board. But with that, I think that Miss Prouty, whom I don't know at all, I feel that she is the best candidate out of all of the people that came forward because of her experience, because of her desire to be a part of the community. She has shown that she wants to be a part of the community, an active part of the community. She has shown up, she has participated. I feel like she has a good head on her shoulders and would be fair. And I echo the comment before me that this is supposed to be a nonpartisan separation of church and state. And so to bring in values that are potentially divisive, I don't think that that belongs in our library. And so I support the staff recommendation for Ms. Prouty.
Leonard Stolberg, do I need to sign in again?
Yes. Or no, you don't have to sign in, just state your name.
Leonard Stolberg, Wellington, Nevada. So there seems to be a big misunderstanding about what the separation of church and state truly is. But the point that we need to make today is that this is about moral values that every person ought to have. And there's no question that there are good items in the library. Nobody's saying everything is wrong with the library. And personally, we have been in those stacks. You don't have to look far to find things that are so offensive that you just would be appalled. And they're right there for children to pick up off the shelves. It's not just the sex oriented stuff. I picked up a book and I started looking through it. Within a couple of minutes, I found a whole episode of someone teaching someone else how to shoplift, as if we need that kind of information. Profanity is rampant. And when I was a teacher, I used to ask or to encourage my students to read. One of the reasons was so they could learn proper grammar. There are books in there with the worst grammar in the world. I'm talking about lowercase starting sentences and just all kinds of problems, simple things that children will never learn if they're seeing trash like that. We have scarce resources, and I think our library board trustees and the librarians ought to be more focused on what they're actually allowing on those shelves, regardless of whether the books are donated to them. I saw a book that was from a science foundation that had nothing to do with science and all about sex, LGBTQ, and just trash, pure trash. And I believe that Patty Palmer will do a much better job of representing Lyon County's library system with not an eye toward religion or anything like that, but decency, common decency. Thank you for your time.
Any more public comment in the room? Yeah, we're gonna go to public comment online. Len B, go ahead.
Hello. It's not quite afternoon yet. That's good. My name is Lynn Ballator. That's LYNNEBALLATORE. I am from Dayton. I have been with the Friends of the Dayton Valley Library since 1996, i.e. before the building was even built. I've been past president, treasurer. Right now I'm a life member and the VP of the Friends of the Dayton Valley Library. And I urge the commission to follow the current procedures and accept the recommendation of the library trustee board and approve Suzanne Prouty. I was at the meeting when everybody testified, and she is very well qualified. some of the other candidates went and supported her, mainly because at the end we really needed, this position is from Fernley. And so they wanted to get somebody from Fernley, which ends up being Suzanne Prouty and Patty Palmer. And I'll tell you, from Patty Palmer, she told everybody she does not even have a library card. She does not frequent the library now. Maybe she did when she was younger. And you know, she hasn't been to through our library systems. And that doesn't really show to me that she has the dedication that Suzanne Prouty would, or most of the other candidates. At least they had library cards. So I just, you know, I'm sure she's a really nice person, but I'm going to urge you to stick with the procedure, accept what the trustee board recommended, and go with Suzanne Prouty. Thank you.
Public comment. Seeing none, we're going to close public comment and go back to the board. Is there any additional comments that anyone on the board?
I realize Suzanne Prouty has a great resume, but we're not hiring a librarian. What we need is a trustee with common sense. And especially right now, someone who's knows how to bring opposing factions together to work towards a goal. And her professional ability gives her that skill. And I think that's important for Patty Palmer. So that's who I'm going to vote for.
There were a couple of things that I wanted to just respond to a little bit. One is that people keep saying use the current procedure. The current procedure is just a recommendation from that. The current procedure is this board makes that decision. So it's not passed through. It's not a rubber stamp. I just want to make sure the public knows it's not that way. And I hear a lot about book burning and everything else, and I don't think any of that was on our topic. I don't think either one of these applicants would be out burning books. So that's just my feeling. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to nominate Patricia Palmer to the Library Board of Trustees with the term expiring June 30th, 2028.
I'll second that motion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Those against say nay. 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 Motion passes 3-2. Chairman Keller, I just want to thank both and wait. I mean, announce that. Those against was Commissioner Jacobson and Commissioner Casanelli. Go ahead, Commissioner Jacobson.
I just want to thank both, and I know you'll both do a great job.
Mr. Chair, yeah, I just want to ask Commissioner Jacobson, like I said, nothing personal at all. And thank you to all the applicants. Appreciate it.
I'd like to thank all the applicants too. I know it's going to be a little challenging for that board, but that's what boards do. And I think you guys will work through this and come out better on the long run. So thank you for all for playing. Okay, we'll move on to 17B for possible action. Appoint a member to the Dayton Regional Advisory Board with a term expiring December 31st, 2026. We have Lyon Duncan is the only applicant. Any comment from the board? Public comment.
Chairman Keller, I'll make a motion that we appoint a member to the regional Dayton Regional Advisory Board with a term expiring December 31st, 2026 to Lorraine Duncan.
Do I have a second? Second. Motion by Commissioner Jacobson, seconded by Commissioner Hockaday. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. Brings us to 17C for possible action. Appoint a member to the Silver Springs Advisory Board with a term expiring December 31st, 2026. We have one applicant, Amon Terrapin. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say that he has been serving on the advisory board and he's been doing a great job.
Do we have any public comment? Do you have a motion?
Move to appoint Ammon Turbining to the Silver Springs Advisory Board with the term expiring December 31st, 2026.
Second. We have a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against? Oh, passage unanimously. Brings us up to Comptroller number 18. 18A for possible action. Designate the Justice Court bailiff's position as a position for which there is a critical labor shortage. Mr. Foley.
Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller, for the record. We've been advertising for this vacant position for over 5 months now without any qualified applicants. And so the Justice of the Peace for Walker River Justice Court has requested your consideration to designate this as a critical labor shortage and submit it to the state for their approval.
Any questions or discussion? Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chair. So this doesn't cost the county any extra money except for experience, probably.
Correct. There's no additional cost to Lyon County for doing this.
That we recognize their years of service and on the pay scale, et cetera.
It depends on what budget they have available to hire personnel. So it still takes a look at the same salary range and all that. It's just a matter of we may be able to fill a position with someone who's retired.
And cut down on training.
And cut down on.
Any more questions? Any public comment? Seeing none, take a motion.
I move to designate the Justice Court bailiff as a position for which there's a critical labor shortage.
One second.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Casanelli, seconded by Commissioner Commissioner Huckabee. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. And number 19, agenda request. Let's start with Commissioner Hockaday.
No.
Commissioner Casanelli. Commissioner Hendricks.
I would like to see the changes to the code enforcement coming forward as soon as we can.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chair. And yeah, that was one of mine. Thank you, Commissioner Hendricks. And then it's been a while since we had a county update on waste management progress towards transfer station in Silver Springs. I'm not saying I need one from waste management or just where we're at with the permitting from the county, something. I think with a new commissioner on board, it would be good for, and I can't speak for Commissioner Casanelli, but I know I'd want it if I was new. And I think we also made a commitment that we had kind of buried our head in the sand as a commission and let that slide. And I just want to, I think it's been long enough. I think it's time we get an idea of where we're at with that.
Thank you. I don't have any agenda request at this moment. So does anybody have any commissioner comments that they want to end with? Commissioner Jacobson.
I don't bring my dad hat very often, but I want to wish my son and the Vaqueros good luck in the upcoming regional basketball tournament. And I also want to thank Mr. Steve Rye for letting me borrow his reading glasses today, or I would have been in the hurt sack.
Any other comment?
Go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Commissioner Casanelli.
I just wanted to bring something forward that I see, I hear at a lot of the Citizen Advisory Board meetings that I've attended, Silver City, Mound House, and Dayton. They have all requested a little more participation from county staff, like community development, or utilities, maybe occasionally attending and giving an update, or that pass on any update they have to one of the commissioners to give to at the cabs, but I'm hearing that a lot, that they like a few updates occasionally. It doesn't have to be every month or even, every quarter, but maybe a couple times a year. Thanks.
I'd second Commissioner Casanelli's request for people to attend those board meetings. But that's staff. You guys always end up with the slow time out of the year. I wouldn't want roads during the flood season. I wouldn't want our lobbyist in there during the legislation, but hopefully you guys can pick out your own times when you know it's a slow season for you and hit some of these advisory boards. It'd be very helpful for them.
Commissioner Keller. I just one last thing, kind of at the other end of the table here. My granddaughter played volleyball at Yerington. They had the middle school team there play, and she's from Palo in Webbville. So it's really a tough situation. In the district commissioner for the school, and having to play against that school. So I clapped when both teams made points.
Sometimes you gotta pick the side of the guy. Family trumps, all right? Okay, we're gonna go into our final public participation. No action taken on any item until it's properly agendized. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none online, seeing none in the room. Gonna join this session at 12:07, and we're gonna enter into a closed session in 10 minutes.